Hi, Dr. Tim Silvester. I wanted to give you some tips if you have lower back pain and you're one of those people who has to sit for long periods of time every day. Many of the patients that come into our office, they have desk-type jobs where they have to sit down and it really aggravates or irritates the lower back pain that they have. First thing I'd recommend is, if possible, I would recommend that you try to get your hands on a sitting chair that you can also stand with. You'll notice that this chair has a pedestal, and it can kind of combine the two motions of sitting as well as standing, which is going to take a lot of pressure off the lower back area. So what are the best stretches that you can do from a seated position? I want to demonstrate them for you. The first one will simply involve you pulling your knee up toward your shoulder. So if you pull that knee up toward the shoulder, you should feel a stretching in through the buttock and hip area. You're going to hold that stretch for 15 or 20 seconds, and then what you're going to do is you're going to pull the same knee up toward the opposite shoulder with the opposite arm. And again, you're going to hold that position for 15 to 20 seconds. The next stretch I'd recommend involves crossing your foot over your knee and leaning your chest down towards your foot that's crossed over. And again, as you do that, you should feel a stretch in that hip on that same side. Another great stretch to do for people that sit a lot is something called a lunge, where you're going to get down on one knee and you're going to put one foot out in front and you're going to lean forward. And as you do that, you're going to feel a pull in through the front of the hip on the knee that's on the floor. And that's really important because people who sit a lot get very tight in the front of the hip. That muscle, it's called your hip flexor, which can contribute to lower back pain as well. Another great tip is to make sure that you have good lumbar support, good lower back support. You can use a roll that looks like this. You can very easily make one of these at home simply by rolling up a towel and wrapping it up in duct tape. And what you want to do is you want to get that roll right down into the lower back area as you're sitting. And what that will accomplish is it keeps the curve in your lower back, it keeps your shoulder over your hips, and it prevents the slumping and the slouching that can put a lot of stress on the lower back area. You can see how it keeps my posture very erect and aligned like this. The last thing I'd mention too is that if you sit, if you have a job where you're sitting, you want to make sure that you get up as frequently as possible. Even if you're able to walk around your desk a few times, if you're able to stand up and sit down and do some squats while you're standing over your chair repeatedly, if you can do that every 15 or 20 minutes and interrupt your sitting, you're going to find a huge difference in the pain in your lower back. Where people get into problems is when they sit for an hour or two at a time and they don't interrupt their sitting habits and posture. Try these simple things if you have to sit while you're working, and I guarantee you that they're going to make a big difference in the pain in your lower back. If you happen to know anybody who sits for a living, who has an administrative desk-type job, please feel free to share this video with them so that they can get this information. If you need any clarification, if you've got any questions about any of these movements, please post them in the comments section below and I'll be sure to get back and answer your questions. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Tim Silvester.